What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the long wait. I've been super busy lately, and Dino had to fled the state of Louisiana due to the hurricane. So before we get this thing started, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So we're going to get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about the Biden administration. Are they planning to re-invade Afghan to boost the U.S. economy? A lot of this is going to be based on speculation, but I have some articles to support my claims. So let's get straight into it, right? This is being reported out of The Hill, the return of stagflation and the misery index. Now, the misery index was basically created in the 1970s to capture the economic pain experienced by the American public. The idea was simple: to add inflation rate to the unemployment rate to come up with the misery index as a single measure of the economic pain, right? So in this article, it says, today, with inflation rising to levels last seen 30 years ago, with unemployment remaining stubbornly high amid the COVID-19 pandemic, despite massive policy stimulus, we may again be entering a prolonged period of stagflation that would merit the return of the misery index. Now, the picture you see of this decrepit old man, this is the chairman of the Fed, right? And he goes on to say, he's the Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, and he painted a rather rosy economic scenario. He assured that the current inflation pressures were the result of temporary supply chain disruption and labor market problems that would soon dissipate. So Biden clearly brought this guy in to fucking lie, okay? With the Delta variant wrecking states right now, and with the new variant that's on the horizon, the Mu, it's called Mu, M-U, and I think they just seen it in Los Angeles. So with that mutation of the virus, it seems like the supply chain is going to be further in disruption again. So I don't know why he's doing this. And the only reason I think he's doing it is because he doesn't want to shy off investors in America. Let them assure them that the problem is under control and the great and almighty, omnipotent Federal Reserve has these things in control. So now in the article, it mentions that despite massive policy stimulus, right? And whenever there's a problem, that's all Congress does is just print money out of thin air. They think that's the problem. They think that's the remedy for every problem. Print money, print money, print money. We have the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Then we have the stimulus package deal. What's next? What's next, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think is on the horizon, right? So, just to go into further detail, stagflation, as in this graph, is an economic event in which inflation rate is high and economic growth rate slow and unemployment remains steadily high. So we discussed this already. This unfavorable combination is feared and can be a dilemma for governments, since most actions designed to lower inflation may raise unemployment levels, and policies designed to decrease unemployment may worsen the inflation. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So not do we have idiots in office, they think that having a minimum wage set at $15 an hour is going to help the economy. It's not going to help the economy. Obama tried this bull crap, right? During his administration, he created massive part-time jobs. Now, that looks good on the numbers. When you start doing some investigation of, oh, how were the jobs really were? They were shitty jobs. Shitty jobs, yeah. So not only this, right? You have the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They suspended the nowcast that was launched in 2016, right? And basically the nowcast is they have some sort of quantum computer and they predict how the gross domestic product is going to be for each quarter, right? So as it says, suspension notification, the uncertainty around the pandemic and the consequent volatility in the data have possessed a number of challenges to the nowcast model. Therefore, we have decided to suspend the publication of the nowcast while we continue to work on the methodology improvements, to better address these challenges. And for further clarification, this is being reported out of Breitbart. New York Fed shuts down GDP nowcast. Now, in the article, it says nowcast for the second quarter growth came in at 3.2%, far below the advanced estimate for growth of 6.5%, and the revised estimate of 6.6%. The first quarter estimate was much closer, coming in at 6.66% compared with the revised estimate of 6.4%. Fourth quarter of 2020 was for 2.58% below the revised estimate of 4.4%. So there you go. They're shutting down the forecast because they don't want to worry the public of the true nature of the economy, in my estimation. Now, it's so bad that CNN is also reporting unfavorable things for the Biden regime. It says the August job numbers have economists worried. Here's why. Now, the last job report was released in August, and forecasters projected that the labor market would add 765,000 jobs to the economy. The lie detector determined that was a lie. Forecast actually was in the 230,000s. So an article says we're added back to the economy last month, the lowest number since January. In normal times, the August report would have been a reason to celebrate, but nowadays it's a sharp slowdown from the bayonet jobs report earlier in the summer. So it was supposed to be 750,000. They've revised it down to 728,000, and then it actually went to 235,000, ladies and gentlemen. So the economy is in shambles, so much that the Wall Street Journal is saying a Fed with no fear of inflation should scare investors. So what's going on here? In my personal opinion, I believe the Biden administration is sabotaging the economy so they could topple the capitalist society that we live in and enjoy, and for a more of a socialist economy like the UK, like Germany, and et cetera, et cetera. So not only that, look at this. I'm going to get a closer view for you ladies and gentlemen can see. And in it, it says world food prices jumped to August near decade high. Central banks and mainstream media continue to peddle the notion that soaring food inflation is temporary and average Joe and Jane should not be worried about it. So you shouldn't be worried about it, according to the experts, like Dr. Fauci, the experts. Don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. But in a new report via the Rome-based Food and Agricultural Organization, global food prices are on the rise once again and back to nearly decade high. So all this money we're printing out, inflation, stagflation, misery index, eggs, milk, bacon, timber, everything's up. Everything's skyrocketed. And the Biden administration doesn't have a remedy for it. Now, I wanted to let you guys know something, right? Joe Biden's approval now is reported at 44% now with his handling of the Afghan withdrawal. So when you start doing calculations, and this is why I say it's based on speculation itself, because with Americans still trapped in Afghan, and with mainstream media edging and promoting Biden to do more in Afghan, this makes me want to think, what is the chances of the Biden administration re-invading Afghan? Now, so let me put my conspiracy cap on, right? This is based on speculation. There's no evidence to support this, but this is based off of what I know the government has done in the past. Now, I'm thinking right at this moment, the CIA is behind the scenes somewhere with a terrorist organization plotting an attack or helping in an attack. So the attack is big enough to have American sentiment over it. And then the mainstream media forces, in a way, Biden to reinvade Afghan. It's not as far-fetched, and it's could possibly totally happen. So here's the next thing. Why would the Biden administration leave all this? Why would they leave all this? Does this make any sense, ladies and gentlemen? 22,000 Humvees, 8,000 trucks, 16,000 night vision goggles, almost 400,000 assault rifles, 169 armored personnel carriers, 64,000 machine guns. Oh, you got 33 Black Hawk. Now, why? Since there was no enemy to fight anymore in Afghan and Iraq, it seems to me that the CIA left behind all these weapons and the Pentagon deliberately so now they can have someone to fight. This does not make any sense. Look at all the, this is incredible. So just like COVID created an enemy, we must fight the enemy. Now that this Taliban enemy has all these weapons, now we can invade again to stimulate the economy, which the Bush did during his reign. That's my opinion, right? Now, take a little walk with me. Taliban stopped 6 planes carrying American citizens and allies from leaving Afghanistan airport. Top Republican says passengers are being held hostage for demands. So we have Americans being captured as hostages, right? So the Taliban could wager them for them to have favorable economic policies regarding them, right? Now, does this make any sense? Why would Joe Biden leave Afghan with no plan in place to evacuate all these people? Oh, there was a deadline. Okay, if we invaded their country, we dictate the rules, you freaking idiot. You freaking idiot, Joe Biden, we hate you so much. You left Americans behind, and artistically, I wish I could fart in your face. That sounds a little crazy. But I have some Marine friends that would love to speak to Joe Biden one-on-one, without any, security detail. Give him a little talk, little smacking, a little pat in the back of the head, So now this is why I say you already have CNN. CNN is already saying Biden promised ISIS-K will pay. Having no U.S. troops in Afghanistan makes that harder. Okay. So basically, CNN is saying that they want Biden to take more drastic measures. Now, what if this rampant? What if this is from MSNBC, ABC, NBC, et cetera, et cetera? They start the rally cry. Biden succumbs to the pressure. And he reinvades. And he's the hero. He's the hero because you know why he reinvades? He's going to get all those remaining Americans out of there. So now he gets a 1 or 2 point in his poll numbers. We reinvade. I think this is possible, ladies and gentlemen. I could be wrong, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. I told you this is based on speculation. So in regards to this article, he drone strike allegedly a vehicle that was loading up explosives in it, right? Now, it turned out that that vehicle killed at least 10 civilians, right? With 7 children. Good job. Good job, CIA. Give a round of applause for the CIA and the Pentagon. They just do masterful work. They're so good at their job. Like, why aren't any of these people fired? I would like to know these things. Now, reading in the article, 10 civilian deaths is astronomically high number. Let me highlight this for you guys. Is astronomically high number according to the U.S. official with direct knowledge of the standards for a strike of this nature, who added that the military will have conducted collateral damage estimates beforehand. Had we had cooperation with any local partner, we would have never fired a missile at the vehicle, but tried to get the drivers before they got in the car, said one. Good job. Good freaking job. That assumes we had intel on the car as opposed to the people. So maybe if we didn't have all our people out of there, we would have had better intel to not kill 7 children. Right. And I would just want to make this very clear. I am for the removal of troops of Afghanistan. I just disagree with how the evacuation went. Terrible, 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 terrible. Now, not only this piece of crap was lying, they leaked Joe Biden's phone call with the Afghan president, right? Now, I'm going to go over a few important details I think you guys need to hear. And he says, Biden proclaims, I'm going to highlight this for you guys. What the fuck is all this? Okay. Biden, if you empower Bismillah, Defense Minister Bismillah Khan Mohammed, to execute a strategy focused on key parts of the population centers. And I'm not a military guy. We know that, retard. So I'm not telling you what the plan should precisely look like. You shouldn't be telling him what anything looks like, because you clearly don't know what you're doing. Anyways, you're going to get not only more help, but you're going to get a perception that is going to change the terms of how unclear or allies and folks here in the States and other places think you're doing. You clearly have the best military. Good job, Pentagon. Those Afghan nationals that you trained, they did such a great job. You have the best military. So he's flattering the Afghan president for no reason. You have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000. And they're clearly capable of fighting well. We will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing. And all the way through the end of August, and who knows what's after that, right? So this is from July 23rd, this phone call, for clarity purposes. So the Afghans have 300,000. And, the Taliban has 70, 80,000, right? We're also going to continue to make sure your Air Force is capable of continuing to fly and providing air support. In addition to that, we are going to continue to fight hard diplomatically, politically, economically to make sure your government not only survives, but is sustained and grows, because it is clearly in the interest of the people of Afghanistan that you succeed and you lead. And though I know this is presumptuous of me on one hand to say such things directly, but I really think I don't know. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a crap? So here, the president replies to Biden, why the hell is not letting me highlight this crap? It's not letting me highlight it, but anyways. He says, Mr. President, we are facing a full-scale invasion and composed of Taliban, full Pakistani planning and logistical support, and at least 10 to 15,000 international terrorists, predominantly Pakistanians, thrown into this. So that dimension needs to be taken account of. Second, what is crucial is close air support. And if I could make a request, you have been very generous if your assistance, particularly to our Air Force, be front loaded. because what we need at this moment, there are very heavily reliance on air power. So the brilliance of Joe Biden, he took away one of the airports that we had over there that we were providing air support for the Afghan nationals. Good job, CIA, once again. And third, regarding procedure for the rest of the assistance, for instance, military pay is not increased for over a decade. We need to make some gestures to rally everybody tougher. So if you could assign the National Security Advisor or the Pentagon, anyone who you wish to work with on these details, blah, blah, blah. Crosstalk. So then Biden, he proclaims, no, well, look, I think you look close. Air support works only if there is a military strategy on the ground to support. So the geniuses at the CIA and the Pentagon knew that the Afghans army could not survive without air support. And the Biden administration denied them. They didn't give them any air support. The Afghan army, as we know it, they just joined the Taliban, of course. So I'm going to end it with this, right? War is racket, right? This was coined by a very famous general in the Marine Corps called Smedley Butler. Now, Smedley Butler did work for all the banking organizations back in the day. So whenever the banks had a problem, they would send in the Marines. In the instance of Cuba and South American countries. So they will make it more stable for the banks to make their money and for the big businesses to make their money and agricultural businesses to make money. So he wrote a pamphlet. Well, he had a speech, and then the speech he later and wrote a book about it. And the book was called War is Racket. Now, I highly recommend people reading it. It's only about 50 or so pages. It's a very quick read. So, in it, he says, let me see if I can highlight this. Y'all, I can finally highlight. It says, war is a racket. It always has been and is possible the oldest, easily the most profitable, sure, and most vicious. It is only one international scope and is only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of people. Only a small inside group knows what it's about and is conducted for the benefit for the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. Butler confessed during his decades of service in the United States Marine Corps. I helped Mexico, especially Tampico, save for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenue. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I am envisioning Biden re-invading Afghan to boost the economy now that they have an actual army to fight. Now look at this. You don't have an enemy, so you create the enemy. This is V for Vendetta, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and see you next time.